This episode of The War Room is brought to you by C4 Energy. Enter full Reptile at checkout for 30% off. And make sure you check out their new Smart Energy range. Okay. Yeah. Hello everybody and welcome to The War Room. This one is for the Bellator 266 main event between Yoel Romero and Phil Davis. Okay, so obviously this is a part of the Grand Prix, the light heavyweight Grand Prix, and this is I love it. I love the fact that Yoel Romero stepped over. I love the fact that he's gone up a weight class. This is an interesting fight for a lot of reasons, though. Obviously, you know, Yoel's going up a weight class. Phil Davis has been in Bellator a long while. They're different. They're different styles of wrestler, which I'll come to a bit later on. A lot of experience for Phil Davis, 22-6 compared to 13-5 for Romero, but then, of course, the lifetime experience of Romero just generally competing does weigh in a lot, in my opinion, as well as obviously Phil Davis having his Division I All-American career, 150 matches or something crazy. Height and reach differences, of course, Phil Davis has got the advantages. Davis is coming in at 6'2". Now, Yoel Romero, it says on his UFC stats, he's 6 foot. I call bullshit on that. I think he's about 5'10", and that's what it says on his Sherdog page. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see when they face off, but I expect Phil Davis to be a good bit bigger. Maybe a couple of inches at least. Reach, Phil Davis is 78. He's got a 5-inch reach advantage over Yoel Romero, and that will be prevalent because Romero doesn't really throw straight shots. A lot of stuff comes looping and over the top and explosive, and it's a bit wild, a bit miscalculated, but very effective because of how quickly he travels and how powerful he is. Phil Davis, on the other hand, is much better at staying at distance and just sniping people with his jab. I mean, you think about that lead hand that McGeary stepped onto that damaged his jaw. That was, force meeting force. Nice timing, a good stiff jab, walk straight onto it. And I think, with that reach advantage, with the height advantage, with Romero not having a particularly crazy output in any of his fights. I mean, this is, according to Tapology, this is 3 5-minute rounds. Romero, even over 3 rounds, doesn't really get going. If you think back to the Costa fight, he was good in the third round. He's got such a steady pace that it sometimes suits him to have 5 rounds because he's not going to get tired unless he works really hard, and he doesn't usually work really hard. And I think that's where Phil Davis can beat him in this fight. I think hanging on the outside and working the jab is only going to work for a short period of time because as soon as he starts to engage Romero, that's when his explosivity and his power striking comes into play. And Romero can stop you with all kinds of stuff. Both his hands are powerful. He's got wicked flying knees, and he commits to it. And Phil Davis has never been the most forthright with his aggression, shall we say. He's a competitor. He's good at competing. But when it comes to, intensity, when it comes to someone bringing the fight to him, sometimes it doesn't suit him and he starts to kind of turn away. And that's where Romero finds those flying knees and those wild punches that get through the guard. I think the smart thing, if you Phil Davis, is to use your wrestling. And this is where it comes to the difference between the two styles of wrestling. So Phil Davis was a Division I All-American, which is folk style. Yoel Romero was an Olympian, which is freestyle. So the difference between the two is freestyle gives you 15 seconds on the floor to work. Folk style is much more about taking your opponent down and controlling them. So if you think the way this plays into MMA, if you're taking somebody down, you don't want to just take them down and subdue them for a few seconds. You want to take them down and learn how to control them. And because in folk style you can't lock around the body, it's all about wrist control and ankle control and leg riding. And if you watch Phil Davis's style, that's what you'll see. You'll see him using all these folk style techniques to wear people down and control them, controlling an ankle while he's hitting them in the face, controlling a wrist while he's hitting them in the face. There's loads of different options that he can use that are immediately applicable from folk style into MMA. So if you think of the difference between the two styles of wrestling, if Phil Davis brings that folk style, MMA style wrestling to Yoel Romero, he might be able to outpace him. He might be able to slow him down and wear him down. Romero will be good at stuffing takedowns, but if the takedown effort is persistent, he ends up on the floor. That's Phil Davis's world right there. He's got a couple of subs on his record as well, Phil Davis. No subs on Yoel Romero's record again, so that kind of supports it. 5 submissions on Phil Davis's record, 2 Kimuras, 2 Anacondas and a rear naked choke. 1 Anaconda being Alexander Gustafsson. Bear that in mind. What haven't I said? I feel like I've been talking constantly and not breathing. Okay. I mean, this is a 3-round fight. Phil Davis is coming off that unanimous decision loss over 5 rounds to Nemkov. And Nemkov just seems to have his number. It's not like anybody's beating him up. Phil Davis has never been stopped. No one's coming in and really beating Phil Davis up. It's always a unanimous or a split decision. But with Phil Davis standing there at the end with not really a great deal of damage, he's a difficult person to put away. I expect him to come into this fight and be too much for Yoel Romero. But the point of difference is confidence. Is Yoel Romero able to intimidate Phil Davis enough to kind of put him into a shell and not allow Phil Davis to open up? If he can establish that jab early, it'll establish his confidence early, and then every time he gets his hands on Romero, he can start breaking him down and making him work. And as long as his confidence maintains, if he doesn't get the first 2 or 3 takedowns, that's when it starts to come into Phil Davis's world, because he will look like the bigger man in there, no doubt. No doubt. I mean, even Yoel Romero going up to whatever weight he wants to be to compete at 205, he's still 5'10" with a 5-inch reach disadvantage. He'll look like the smaller guy. And I think Phil Davis will make him look smaller and smaller the more he forces him to wrestle. Takedown defense for Yoel Romero is 78%, but his takedown accuracy is 30%. So again, does he want to exhaust himself trying to take Phil Davis down? He chose not to for the majority of the time against people like Adesanya and Whitaker. So, if Romero knows anything about Phil Davis, he'll know he's a good wrestler, and he'll probably not want to waste that kind of energy. It'd be much better for him to hang back and try and catch him with a counter, a wild punch, a springing knee or something like that. And then Phil Davis is reeling, and that's when Yoel Romero can run in for the finish. It's about power and explosivity. Romero's got to use that to his advantage, but pick his moments when to use it. For Phil Davis, just close him down. Be the bigger man. Be the better wrestler over the 15-minute period. And, show us how good folk style wrestling is for MMA, because he demonstrates it very well. I mean, he mauled Albrechtsen. Anyway, it's a great fight. Looking forward to it. Catch you next time.